shot clock is off. There's no need to shoot it. Credit the Raptors. They were brilliant tonight. Shot it at 58.5% for the game. Made 15 threes. They had 8 players in double figures against Sac. They put 6 players in double figures tonight. R.J. Barrett was fantastic, and they held Steph without a 3. So the Raptors win at 133-118. Wednesday, 5:30. We will tip it off against the Pelicans. And for the Warriors, it's a couple days to regroup a little bit.
Erase this game.
Yeah, they're going to have to regroup and hope to erase this one. Ugly, ugly stuff tonight at Chase Center. We welcome you in here on KNBR, the sports leader. It's Dubs OT with JD. And as you hear there on the final call, Fitz and Kalena, NBC Sports Bay Area, 133-118, the final in favor of the Raptors. And really, it wasn't that close. Warriors trailed by as many as 27. They never had the lead in the game at Chase tonight, down 36-28 after one. Steve Kerr makes a lineup change without Chris Paul, puts Jonathan Kuminga and Andrew Wiggins together, and the Warriors just get off to a horrible start in this game with that new-look lineup. They were down 7-0, 11-2, 16-6, 24-12, 4 turnovers in the early going, leading to 8 points. They would have 5 first-quarter turnovers that would lead to 10 Raptors points, so the Raptors scored on each of the 5 Warrior turnovers. They got a bucket, and Toronto, again, opened up a 14-point lead in that first quarter. They would lead by 8 after one, then push it all the way up to 27 in the second quarter, a 40-21 advantage for Toronto in quarter number 2. The Warriors did make their run. All teams make runs. And the Warriors did cut it down to 9. Klay Thompson got hot. Steve Kerr admitted his mistake, a horrible lineup that at least played terribly together in the first half. Kerr went away from Kuminga and Wiggins. Trace Jackson-Davis got caught in that wash. And so Looney, who basically kept the Warriors from being blown out even further in the first half with a bunch of offensive rebounds, he got the start in the second half. Klay Thompson got going. Kuminga and Trace Jackson-Davis had much better second halves than they did first halves, at least in some short run, as the Warriors cut it all the way down to 9, but the Raptors pushed it back up early fourth quarter once Steve Kerr had to go away from Klay Thompson to give him a rest. And the Raptors push it all the way back up to 25, and they win at 133-118. So 808 KNBR is the number. 808 KNBR here on the Sports Leader. It's Dubs OT with JD as Golden State. Man, this team just cannot string anything together. And, Draymond Green back in the building. A lot of the vibes positive in the pregame as far as it nearing a time for it to be go time for the Warriors, but they just cannot figure it out. And tonight it was lackluster defense at the beginning. Just awful defense at the beginning. Gutless effort. Yeah. I don't want to belabor the whole gutless thing, but tonight was gutless. It was just brutal. I mean, you put Kuminga and Wiggins on the floor together to generate energy along with Trace Jackson-Davis, and the Raptors just had their way. R.J. Barrett cooked the Warriors. 37 points, plus 26. Toronto just hitting from everywhere, but part of the reason they were hitting from everywhere is because they were getting wide open looks. And then aside from Kevon Looney and the job that he did on the glass when he was inserted into the game, and the 7 offensive rebounds, 6 in the first half, aside from that, the Warriors were getting outworked. And the ugliest part of all of it was it looked in the final 4 or 5 minutes of quarter number 2, when the thing really got ugly from about 16 to 18 all the way up to 27 at halftime, it looked like the Warriors they gave up offensively. Defensively, they were terrible the whole half, but offensively, it was just come down, force a shot. Steph, Klay, Wiggins, and Kuminga, all 4 of them, on 4 consecutive possessions late in the second quarter, just took a shot without even making a pass. And the ball got ran back the other way. Some ball movement for the Raptors, and they were getting an open 3, or they were getting a layup, or they were getting a dunk. And the Warriors got booed inside Chase Center at the end of the second quarter and the end of the first half. And it was set up to be a lot. I don't know if I give Warrior fans credit tonight inside Chase Center. I guess you do, because I've never been. I don't know where everybody's kind of different on this. It's sort of the two sides to every story kind of a thing, where some fans, hey, pay good money, go to the game. I'm booing them if the effort's not there. Other fans are like, no, you never boo your team. Should never happen. Warriors deserve to get their asses booed tonight. They did. And I guess I give Warrior fans a little bit of credit in the sense that they did not boo them as loudly and lustily as I thought was going to be the case. You could hear it if you were inside Chase, and maybe if there are people still driving home from Chase at this hour, maybe you were even part of it. But again, as somebody that typically is not a boo your team kind of a guy, I probably would have booed tonight if I had paid to go to that game. It was that galling, the lackluster effort in terms of hustle and energy and defense. And look, sometimes teams are going to hit shots, and we always talk about the fact that when you don't make shots, the other team makes shots. They look like they've got a bunch of life and juice, and you look like you're dead in the water. But the Warriors just got smoked. Whole lot of R.J. Barrett in the first half. Bad energy at the start. Cut it down in the third, late third. Klay Thompson subs out. Kuminga and Trace Jackson-Davis making an impact along with Saric and Looney in that third quarter. But you can't play those guys the whole half, at least in terms of Klay, who was doing the bulk of the scoring in the third quarter. Warriors 38-25 in the third. But then the Raptors push it back up. But it's not about the third or what Klay was doing and Kerr taking him out and all of that. It ain't about it. It's about you got down 27 at home to the Raptors in a game that you never had a lead in. And now you're 17-19, and you're continuing to tinker and you're continuing to search. And I'll be honest, I'm flabbergasted at the fact that you could have Wiggins and Kuminga, your two athletic players, out there on the floor against an athletic and skilled Toronto team, and the defense and the energy and the enthusiasm be as bad as it was. And you also had Trace Jackson-Davis out there to boot. And look, I don't think Trace Jackson-Davis was nearly as bad as the other four in the first half, but he kind of got caught in the wash. He was pulled from the starting lineup, or from the third quarter starting lineup, as Kerr went away from Wiggins and Kuminga. So forget about the debate about who's playing them together and all that. Kerr said, forget this. I'm not playing either one of them. I'm going to Podziemski. I'm going to Saric. He also went to Looney, who was the best big that the Warriors had in the first half. And the Warriors did, at that point, get back in the game. But this is a game that the Warriors needed. Flat out. An opportunity to get back to 500 with the Pelicans coming in on Wednesday before this team has to play road games, and they just flat out lay an egg. And you can say, oh, there's going to be games like that. The Warriors have already had their fill of games like that. Oh, another team's just hot. Another team just... No. You got to play better. And tonight was just ugly. I mean, one of the and it's an ugly, gutless loss on top of now, because I do think we need to work our way backwards. It's an ugly, gutless loss on top of an unimpressive win against the Pistons, where Stephen Curry saved their ass in the final 2 minutes after they fell down one when they had an 11-point lead in that game. Gutless. It's now this loss on top of the unimpressive win against the Pistons in the aftermath of blowing the 18-point lead in the final 6:51 to Denver. And so it's one step forward, 2 steps back, another step forward, 3 steps back, 2 steps forward. This team just cannot get any momentum going. Here's the other reality. Steph Curry doesn't play well. Warriors got no shot against anybody. Steph and Klay don't play well, it feels like. Together right now, they don't have a shot. And the Raptors held Steph Curry down. Steph Curry didn't make a bucket in the first half. 2 free throws. That's it for Steph Curry. 0 for 7 field, 0 for 4 from 3. Did hit a couple of free throws. That was the third time in Steph's career he's had a scoreless first half of a game. Now, Klay did have 14 of his 25 in the first half, and it was really, it was basically Klay keeping the Warriors alive in that third quarter as they led back. But this team right now has to have both of those guys play well. So 808 KNBR is the number. You can give me a call or shoot me a text. The Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line, as Draymond was back in the building. The report from Woj of ESPN about Chris Paul going to miss the next 4 to 6 weeks. Not good. That prompting another lineup change. This Wiggins and Kuminga thing, their inability to play together. And look, I've been very outspoken, my take on Kuminga and Wiggins and everything. And I'm not even somebody that doesn't believe that you can play those two together, but it has not worked when the Warriors have tried. And I gave Steve Kerr credit for continuing to try on Friday, but it's almost as if he's trying to get everyone to realize this just doesn't work. And so he went to it tonight, and again, immediately against a team that came in with a worse record than the Warriors, although you look at the team the Raptors put on the floor tonight, you think, man, that team should be a little better. And I know they just got Barrett, and they just got Quickly in the Anunoby trade. And Scotty Barnes and Siakam's going to be going somewhere, and they got Schroeder and Gary Trent, and Chris Boucher smoked the Warriors tonight. Remember him? Warriors had him playing at Santa Cruz half a decade back. He had 17 and knocked down 3 threes. So the Warriors are continuing to search for answers. And now they get a couple of days off. They get the Pelicans before they have to start playing some road games. And the Pelicans, as was pointed out on the YouTube chat, smoked the Sacramento Kings earlier this afternoon in Sacramento. They actually, believe it or not, Pelicans swept the Kings in a 4-game season series. Pelicans went 4-0 already in the first half of the season against Sacramento. Odd. And, of course, the Warriors in their most recent matchup, the Warriors blew them out back early in the season. So all of these matchups are night-to-night specific. But the Warriors, it's back to the drawing board. Back to the drawing board again. All right, 808 KNBR, we're going to hear from Steve Kerr. A couple of phone lines open if you're leaving Chase and heading off into the night here to close out the first weekend of January in 2024. We'll get into the YouTube chat as well. People are all fired up in the YouTube chat. So your thoughts coming up there. We got Sounds of Silver. We got fun with numbers, although nobody's really having any fun tonight because the Warriors got smoked. 133 to 118. It's Dubs OT with JD. It's KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
And it's just exhausting.
And one of the nice things the Warriors do when you win a championship, they wait till you return before they give you the ring. So Stephen Curry has the ring for Otto Porter Jr., who plays for the Raptors. And this is Otto's first trip back to the Bay. He was injured a year ago, and they only played Toronto one time. So Mr. Curry is going to give out the hardware. And Otto Porter Jr., huge part of the 2022 championship team.
He was. And the Warriors are waiting. Whenever you get here, you're getting that ring.
Did I hear Curry drop a about damn time? Kind of sounded like he did. Off mic there. But yeah, Stephen Curry presenting Otto Porter Jr. with his 2022 championship ring. That was a nice moment. That was a feel-good at Chase pregame. And yeah, Otto Porter Jr. was a key cog on that championship team, which, is it just me or does it feel like, I mean, that was 2022. It's basically a year and a half ago at this point. Feels like that was like 5 years ago. Feels like that title was like before COVID, even though obviously it wasn't. Warriors get thumped tonight, 133 to 118. Raptors get the win. Raptors 15-21. Warriors fall to 17-19. So the Raptors walk into Chase, lead by 27 at the half, never trail. Warriors with just one of their most gutless efforts of the entire season. And now they got to figure things out with a couple of days off before the Pelicans come in on Wednesday, and then the Warriors are going to head back out on the road. But yeah, awful start. Steve Kerr makes the lineup change. Chris Paul had been starting. Continuing, and we will hear from Steve Kerr on the lineups here coming up on Dubs OT with JD on the Sports Leader. But the Warriors got down 7-0, 11-2, 16-6, 24-12. 5 turnovers in the first quarter, leading to 10 points. Awful energy from the Warriors in this one. Stephen Curry completely taken out. Klay Thompson had a hot night, but the Warriors didn't get much anything. You know, Kuminga up and down game, mostly down. Honestly, he had a nice little stretch toward the end of the third quarter. Wiggins was worse. I mean, Wiggins was the worst player on the floor tonight, I think, for the Warriors. Plus minus would tell you that. Minus 29 for Andrew Wiggins. Wiggins is 1 for 6, 0 for 2, 3 points. He was terrible tonight. Like, Andrew Wiggins was the worst player on the floor. Only played 17 minutes. And Kurt went away from him. Benching not only Wiggins, but Kuminga and Trace Jackson-Davis, who got the start in favor of Kevon Looney, who really was the Warriors' best player in the first half. Him and Klay. Rough night for Brandon Podziemski. 1 of 8 from 3. Podziemski taking a lot of threes, 2 of 11 overall. And he played 28 minutes. Moses Moody, bright spot, but most of his 21 was in mop-up duty basically after Steve Kerr had given up on the game in the final 6 minutes. So 808 KNBR, the number. Where do the Warriors go from here? And our question of the night, brought to you by the great Greg Silver. Where do you stand on booing your team after the Warriors lost tonight? Because it was a smattering, but you could hear it if you were watching the game on television. You definitely could hear it, and it was building. You know how typically when a team gets booed off the floor at halftime of a game, or a team gets booed off the floor at the end of a game, it kind of builds, right? Like there's some just horrific plays, and the Warriors had gotten beat for dunks, wide open threes. Raptors were hitting everything. And there were literally 4 straight possessions where Steph, Klay, and I'm not going in chronological order, but Steph, Klay, Wiggins, and Kuminga, all 4 of them, took a shot without a pass being made. All 4 of them, basically, the ball went to them, and they just went one-on-one and took a shot and missed all 4, and the Raptors went back down and scored the other way. And there was a build from the turnovers to the Raptors being high. There were murmurs to where I thought, man, if this team gets beat, and I think Pirtle hit a layup that put him up 27, I thought, damn, like if the Warriors legit don't score here and are down 76-49 to the Toronto Raptors, who came into Chase with a worse record than them, this team's going to get their asses booed off the floor into the locker room at halftime. And so it had all of the build up that you would have imagined it have. And then it didn't really happen. It kind of did. I mean, it was very, but it was almost as if once the people that were fed up enough to boo this team started, there were enough other people that were like, come on, you can't do that. You got a bunch of champions out there. And again, I'm not one to boo my team at all, especially guys who are out there with multiple championships. But the reality is they deserved it tonight. They deserved it for the first half that they put out there. 100%. All right, 808 KNBR. Let's get to the YouTube chat. Appreciate everybody watching here on YouTube and Twitch on the Sports Leader. Otis Bird. What's going on, Otis? OB3. Embarrassing loss for the Warriors tonight, no doubt. Hello there. Curry sucked. Yes, he did. Raptors took him out of his game. YSL for life. I haven't voted for a single Warriors player this season for All-Star, and you shouldn't either. Curry needs to be home resting. Well, Curry's going to be an All-Star unless he's injured. Whoa, the Warriors got booed. Yes, but it was, again, it ended up being a smattering. I thought it was going to be full bore loud at the end of the first half, and it really wasn't. Katya, JD, I need to take a mental break from this team. It's really stressing me out. I will miss you, though. Hey, we're not going anywhere. We're going to be here. I'm going to be here every night. If it needs to turn into Dubs group therapy, it'll turn into Dubs group therapy. Whatever it has to be. I feel bad for the people who paid good money for tickets to tonight's game, says Otis Bird. Yeah, San Jose Jazz fan, boo him. I booed. Oh, AJ Cruz 75. I booed 49ers kicker Moody for missing that field goal. He deserved it. KM Johnson, I heard the Kings got booed tonight also. Huh. Stuff's a little weird in Sacramento. I'm not going to lie. Like you got some weird expectations sometimes in Sacramento. Like the Kings are basically the same team they were last year. Like they're on pace to win their 47, 48 games. But the Pelicans smoked them for a fourth time in 36 games or however many they've played. So people are running hot in Northern California. Ernie, I'm glad I didn't watch. Come on, Ernie. Got to stick with your team. But, hey, even if you didn't watch, I appreciate you getting in here on the YouTube chat on Dubs OT with JD here on eSports Leader. Amar Singh, I think they wanted to lean defense with Toronto's wing size. And the problem is the Warriors' wings are, well, I'm not going to repeat that, but you can read it in the chat. But, yeah, are bad. I mean, Kuminga and Wiggins had nothing in the first half. Kuminga had a little bit of juice in the second half when he got put back in the game. And no, I don't think Steve Kerr was trying to send him and Moses Moody a message for putting them both out there in the final 5 minutes together. Yeah, they did get dominated by a bad team. Bad defensive strategy from the jump. Warriors players hear the noise about Toronto and Siakam. They didn't want to put on a show for Masai. Let me tell you something. I would make the move for Siakam. And I understand why you can't if you don't think you can re-sign him. And if you don't think you can re-sign him and you're the Warriors, then you just can't make the move. So we don't even need to get into, would it be Wiggins? Would it be Kuminga? Would it be Moody? Like, we don't even have to get into that. But I think Pascal Siakam would be great on this Warriors team. Like, he would immediately be the guy that could go in and you could plug him in as the number 2 after Steph, take a little of the pressure off of Clay, And then I think it actually allows, if Wiggins is still on the team at that point, I think it allows Wiggins a little bit more freedom to kind of relax and try to get his game back. And you could play Siakam and Draymond together. I don't know where Looney would fit into that. He'd probably become a backup big. But then you start splitting minutes based on matchup between Looney and Trace Jackson-Davis. But the Warriors are going to have to decide here whether or not they feel this season is worth saving in terms of trying to get into the playoffs and make a run, or whether they just want to look ahead and say, you know what, we're just going to develop. But I think there's still too many nights, and here's one of the takeaways tonight. There's still too many nights where the young players kind of show you that while they're nice role players, they're not some great core together. So I don't know that stopping and going full developmental mode really would pay off either at this point. Yeah, Curry was on Scotty Barnes a lot. But, I mean, Ernie Chavez saying it. Wiggins 3 points, Curry 9 points. I mean, the Warriors can't win with Curry scoring 9 points against anybody. Curry scored 9 points against the Pistons. They would have lost to the Pistons the other night. I mean, hell, if Curry had... Looking at my... If Curry had scored 20 against the Pistons instead of 26, they would have lost to the Pistons the other night. But yeah, it's ugly stuff right now for Golden State. 808 KNBR. We'll go ahead and pause here. We'll come back again. We'll hear from Steve Kerr. More thoughts from the YouTube chat. Where does this team go from here now? Because it was another attempt at a lineup change without Chris Paul. And it didn't work. And so it's back to the drawing board. Steve Kerr basically admitting in the third quarter that the lineup that he chose to begin the game wasn't it. And for as much as there were, I think, positive vibes, or at least a positive face trying to be put on Draymond Green reemerging and being back on the bench at Chase Center cheering on his Dubs teammates, this team came out and had one of their worst losses of the season. All right, we'll come back. We'll get to the phones. We'll get back into the YouTube chat. Warriors get smoked, 133 to 118. It's KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.